Bati, Yakayela Tusa, Alana, the Mojave Fatu, Along one about King Yakayela Kwai, Yelaka Mwankai, and Lopere, what, Jaisa, there was a can of Ikayamu, what we might Yaman, Kia Bilaga, Kia Babana, Kia Betana, Belomo, Anumana Kinkalanda, Musuno Kunde, Musuno Labai, Kia Betana, Epatipatia, and the Lord was I Jaboy. Kia Eugenia, I love Papa, Yakalala Musa, I love John and Biba Man, I love Yadulaka, Yalukelo, Yasikimema, Angalela Shadow. Oya Kayele, Alojina Pila, Musuno Labai, Musuno Punta. Babama, Betana, if there were a Betana Sena, and then we see a teatro, Yakamadi, Betana and the neighbor, my white kite, Adulakai, Takamoba Menu, like a single Piama, I can't get Pandia, Lomo, Yanama, Bila, Yakamo, the Bona, Abetena, yes, I said, Yakai, Yakasama, what I want you to be, I want the Bona Miaway, I don't know which you are. Jaguar, I think that Jaguar guy. I'm going to say, I'm always in the air. I love that. I don't know what I want. Oh, I'm sorry. Just in so bad. So that I know love.
Alright, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello each and every one of you. Welcome to the Max K Talk Show. Today is the what's the date today? Oh yeah, it's the 7th of the 8th, the 7th of August 2019. Oh yeah, gradually we're saying goodbye now to 2019, isn't it? Yeah. 2020 is right around the corner. Oh yes, our studio guest today is Miss Eugenia Shaw, entrepreneur based here in the United Kingdom, and she's here. We'll be talking about hair and and a lot more. So without much ado, it's 2 o'clock here in the United Kingdom. I'm just going to go live now to our studio guest. Let's see, we're going to get her. Technology will permit us. Let's see, send her a request now, and so we can get her. Well, how business, not only the business actually is, she into it, but I think it's got benefit to each and every one of us, men, women, so long you can grow hair. Yeah. So she's here to be educating us a lot of stuff and giving us some information. So if you want to ask questions, you can ask her as well. And that's why I gave you the number there. All right, we need to activate the number. That's why I posted the number so you can call. It's taking some time for her to be connected. I don't know, for some reason it's still telling me adding. Let's show if you can just take action there, because Facebook is still telling me that it's adding. So you need to take action on your end. At your end there, then of course we'll have you on. Wow. Okay. Got her. So let me activate the number for you to call. Especially, I know women will be calling on the show here. Men then get here, but we can't talk too much. When I already have claim a sabu, I can't talk about anything about somebody say, I'm going to put product there. No, I just clear the whole hair sabu. But the other women then, they will benefit today a lot. Yeah. So we can be talk about hair. We talk about plenty of things. Plenty things, though. Yeah. Let me see. We're just trying to activate the second line, which is a line that people will be calling on. Okay, the line is the number is being posted, especially for those of you in the USA, those of you that can call USA number for very, very reasonable price or almost free. You can call that number, regardless I'm in the UK. But as a goodness of technology, I'm here, but I gave you USA number to call on. So also, if you can take your time to also share the video, please do as well as you're watching. We appreciate as we go along.
Yes.
Eugenia, good afternoon. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I mean, it's your background. I mean, your video is so clear, and we can see you like
fantastic.
In the same studio, honestly.
Technology is amazing.
Yeah, great.
When it works.
Now, let's just kick the ball rolling because of time. We all get time on hand. So let's see if we can get some education here today just before you leave us. But before we go further, let's get to know you. People finish seeing the name already, Eugenia Shaw, and what this and that. But we want to hear from your own side. Maybe people say, "Oh, that one, he just put somebody need there." So let's know. Let's hear from you. Say, tell a bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. Not my strong point, but I will do my best. So my name is Eugenia Shaw. I am a healthy hair expert or healthy hair consultant, as I refer to my title. I have been in the industry for a long time. When it comes to hair, being a Liberian girl, you have to learn how to plait your hair very early at a very young age. So, where does my history start? One moment, just gonna pop my.
And as an entrepreneur, the course will be coming in. We really hope we're going to get
We're back. I am so sorry about that. Can you hear me now? You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah.
So kind of started with doing hair. I did my own hair. And then I had my daughter and I did her hair too. But prior to having her as a teenager, I used to do my friends' hair, my family hair, my mom's, just all the relatives. I enjoy it. And it was, it was something that I definitely enjoyed and looked forward to doing. But I think from a very young age, I always had a problem with people doing my hair, because it's not until in my adult years that I found out that I had a super sensitive scalp. But as a child growing up, I was deemed the fussy child because I didn't like people to do my hair. Because whenever they did my hair, it would hurt. And from that age, I always believed there had to be a better way. There had to be a way of doing your hair where it didn't hurt, where it didn't make the child cry, and where you didn't have a headache afterwards. So I guess that kind of started me on kind of looking at different ways of doing my hair or doing people's hair, where you still got the benefit of the hair being really well done without the unnecessary pain that came with a so-called well done hair. And I think for me, the last, one of the defining moments for me was when my daughter suffered hair loss at the age of 5. And as a mom, you don't want to see your child going through that at any stage. So that kind of made me sit up and think that I've really got to do something, or else my child, before she's 6 or 7, she's going to be bald. And I didn't want that for her.
I mean, I know, Bob, you just lays a foundation in which, of course, we can now get a little bit idea as to where you got your inspiration from. But take us through, I mean, in terms of your own in-house bringing, especially when we're coming up like that. Sometimes the house can be can full of people, children with plenty, and a lot of things going on or so whatsoever. And sometimes daddies and moms, they find it difficult to even keep eyes on each and everybody. How was it like in your household? Was it a kind of a home
Okay,
that...
are we talking before the war, or during the war, or after the war?
No, growing up in your household, how was it? Yeah, just before, I would say in general,
in
in terms of
general,
support from
kind
the
of
family,
very
school.
pleasant. I have there were always a lot of people around, because my mom was always one of those people that had people around at any given point in time. During my childhood, I always had about at least 2 or 3 cousins staying with us throughout. But I have 4 siblings. So I've got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. So excluding me, so that's 5 in total. And I'm the eldest of the lot, which is nice. When you get to this age, you get to lord it over them, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, the house was always fun and full of laughter, full of people. So I've always been around a lot of people my whole life. And also kind of young children as well, because my mom is a nurse, or used to be a nurse midwife. She trained as a nurse midwife here in the UK, actually. And then she went back home and she worked with Lamco in Buchanan, the hospital there. So there were always people that she was helping or just round because she'd done something medical for them or delivered their child. And so yeah, the house was always full. So I grew up in a very full kind of almost chaotic house, but good chaotic.
Any, I know you've been here for a little while now in the UK. Any memories with respect to, uh, your time there, and especially, I don't know when you came over, but if it's after this or during the war, then do you have any memories? Do you remember how you guys used to spend the Christmas as well? What are
Oh,
those things
yeah.
that that you still miss a
Yes,
lot?
yes. I mean, uh, the memories are there, definitely. Oh, Christmas Day in the house. Oh, let's start with the food because I'm a big foodie. I love food. Yeah, jollof rice
Mm.
definitely on the cards for Christmas Day. And I think my mom used to do this really great dish, and I haven't been able to recreate it here in the UK, but definitely my next trip to Liberia, I'm doing it. She used to do baked plum, and it used to be the small, I forget what we call them now in Liberia, but the really small plums that were very stringy. When you eat it, you got all the stuff coming out your teeth.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And that one, because it
yeah.
used to be so stringy, and we had a tree in our yard, so we used to get plum all the time. Like when it was in season, it was literally my mom was open season. She used to invite everyone she could see to come and get plums because there was just too many.
Mm.
So she used to do baked plum, and basically she would peel them when they were nearly ripe, just before they were nearly ripe, um, to that point where it was all stringy when you ate it. Peel them, boil them in a little bit of water with some sugar and cinnamon and some cloves, and then put them in a baking pan and put them in the oven and slow bake them. And that used to be our Christmas pudding.
I'm taking a
I know,
recipe.
right? I'll write it out for you and
I'm taking a
send
recipe.
it. But it was one of my favorite memories because it was the only time you could get at all the flesh of the plum and literally clean the seed till it was white, but you would without it being too much string in your teeth. And so we just used to gorge ourselves on those. Those were fun times, yeah. So that but
Wow, wow.
because they don't sell those plums in the UK, I haven't been able to do it. I did try it once with
Yeah.
the plums that we have here in the UK, and it doesn't taste the same. I was like, no, gotta wait until I get to Liberia before I do it. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we got shared presents too. I must say we didn't have the traditional British or UK Christmas tree that we know. My mom didn't really do too much of a Christmas tree. I remember her she had these rooster cones that she'd grown. You know the rooster cone flower?
Yeah.
I don't know what the um, Latin name for it is, but in Liberia we call it the rooster cone
Mm.
flowers. It looks like the top of the rooster, and it's normally red. Do you remember those? Oh, not really.
I'm trying to get a picture
I
of it,
know.
but I think it's lost. Yeah, continue.
Um, But then, yeah, so she had those and she'd grown them at home in the garden, and they grew really tall. So they were, I mean, I remember as a kid, they were taller than me. So, and those were like the first time she'd grown them, and because they grew so tall, when they dried out, she cut them out, and then she had them like a decoration in the house that was all year round. But then at Christmas time, she would decorate that bunch as our Christmas tree, and then we'd have
Wow.
our presents all
All
under
right.
it. So yeah, definitely good memories.
Our guest on the Max K Talk Show today is Eugenia Shaw. She's actually professionally she's hair entrepreneur. So we're going to go into that a little bit because of time. Maybe some of you will have questions for her as well. I can see that of well, ladies on as well. Let's take it from this perspective. Thank you for making a headway in a metro in a metro newspaper. When one of our I mean, heavily read local newspaper in London. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
that.
Thank you. That, that was inspiring.
Let's talk about, when, yeah, it is. We talk about health, let's say
Yes.
hair health, you know, and I was just reading. I said, okay, I will talk about, human beings supposed to have health and what's the health because you're breathing also. So I really want to understand if you talk about
Yes.
hair health, what is
Okay.
it?
So more often than not, when we think of hair, we instantly associate it with the hairstyle that the person has. So for instance, the way I have my hair now, it's in a hairstyle, it's out, it's a natural hairstyle, it's curly, it's out. However, your hair health, it's not just about the hairstyle. And this is my natural hair, but more often than not, you have Black women and white women who have weaves. So they may have a hairstyle that's exactly similar to mine, but it won't be their natural hair. And that's okay. The problem where I kind of, where it kind of came out to me in all my research with trying to help my daughter is that we forget about our own hair underneath the hairstyle. So we work to create a really beautiful hairstyle. And more often than not, what we're doing to create that hairstyle actually damages the health of our hair underneath. So when we talk about the hair health, we're looking at, is your scalp moisturized? Are you having excessive dandruff? Your hair strands, are they all there or are you losing any? And if you are losing any, what could be the cause of it? Is your hair shedding too much? Is it too dry? And dryness can be a lot of different things. It can be due to medication. So when people are on really strong steroids or other different medication, antibiotics is a big culprit. It dries out the hair like crazy. And this and hair health, again, like you said, the guys, you're like, we'll just shave it off, but it's still about your hair health. So whether you have the hair there as in long or short, it doesn't matter whether your hair is long or short. You still need a healthy scalp, which will then produce healthy hair. So I think one of my biggest turning points for me was when I'd been back and forth to the doctors and hospital with my daughter quite a few many times, and they weren't really making headway with anything. I mean, I write about it, and I speak about it a lot in my book that I did. But uh, they don't really look at what's going on in the scalp, because whatever we have out here is produced in our scalp, and if we don't take care of the health of our scalp, no amount of doing whatever we do out here is going to make that much of a difference. So when it comes to the health of your hair, it's just looking at your hair and scalp in a slightly different way to creating a hairstyle. So it's not about, oh, I'm going to get my braids done and the braids look really good, or I'm going to get my weave done. For me, when my clients come in to see me, I'm like, take your wig off, take the weave off, take the braids out. Let's see what's happening underneath. And then we can then do all those
Okay.
hairstyles after. So I'm not saying don't do them. So when I first started speaking about this was one of the things people were saying, oh, so you want everyone to go natural? No, God, by no means. I don't want everyone to go natural. You go natural if you want to. Don't do it because someone says to you. What you do have to realize is that depending on the hairstyle you have, you will need to do a lot more or a lot less or you will need to basically do healthy stuff for your hairstyle. So you can still have your hair permed, you can still color it, you can still have your braids in, you can still have your weave in, and you can still be natural. However, you will just need to shift up your routine a little bit to make sure that you're actually keeping the health of your scalp and your own hair healthy so that it can support the hairstyle. Because what I find is, and this is and quite a lot of my clients who have come to me from a place where they've been doing a few different hairstyles over the years, but those hairstyles have damaged the hair, and people don't know how to come back from that. So what they do is the hair underneath is getting damaged, and yet the hairstyle, it's fabulous. I mean, when you see the hair, you're like, oh my God, your hair is amazing. But what's happening underneath is more important than the hairstyle, because that's part of your skin. And what people fail to remember is that even though it's your scalp, it's connected all one to your whole body. So whatever happens there actually ends up in your blood and actually ends up in your body. And so it's kind of like a vicious cycle. So if problems kind of go from here inside the body, your body would then try and get rid of it and it'll go back out. So you got this thing going on constantly. And if you're not dealing with what's on the scalp, then it just keeps going on for years. And sometimes it happens at such an early age. Oh, sorry. You got me talking about hair now.
No. I know that. I think that's where I was going now. You're talking about early, because you made mention of your daughter, and you're talking about you talked about hair loss. I mean, how is that possible at the very early age for somebody to experience a hair loss? What is it about hair loss?
Well,
What is it
to
in
lose
general?
your hair, you can actually, it can be a few different things that can actually cause you to lose your hair. For my daughter, it was a fungal infection in her hair follicles, so on her scalp. And it took the doctors a year to actually diagnose it. And within that year, um, that was when, so the fungal infection was in her hair follicles, and basically the fungus basically killed off her hair follicles. So her hair started to drop. And that's how she ended up losing her hair. So at the age of,
You mean if you say dropping, is it dropping from the root?
yeah,
If you say dropping?
yeah, literally, I would comb my daughter's hair and I would do
Wow.
that, and chunks of her hair would literally be coming out. And at the age of 5, her head wasn't very big, it was very small, but the bald spot she had at the back of her head was the size of my palm. I could fit my whole palm in her bald spot. She had no hair around the back of her head. And yeah, because it took them that long to diagnose it, the fungus ended up being in her blood. So when we finally got referred to Kingston Hospital, and they then did a scalp test and blood test and hair follicle test, and pulled out her hair, went through a lot of different tests, they found out that it was a fungal infection in her hair follicles, and so she had to take internal fungal medication, which if they had diagnosed it at a very early stage, we wouldn't have probably had to go through all the hassle. And believe you me, it was hassle, because at the time I didn't know what I know now. It's in going through that experience with her that taught me what I know now, and what I teach my clients, and what I do myself, and what I speak out when I speak to people about taking care of your hair. So I had a very steep learning curve. And I think for me that is where I don't want people to have that steep learning curve, because the information is there, and no one gave me that information when I needed it.
How essential is our hair? I mean, both male and female, but particularly women. How essential is it as far as your profession is concerned?
Well, when you think of the function of your hair, that's on your head, one of the main reasons you got hair on your head is actually to help protect your brain. So when you think how essential it is very essential because it helps to make sure your brain is functioning at the right temperature, but it's there to protect from knocks. I mean, how many times have you walked under something? I mean, us women, at least we got thickness of the hair, but guys, you got the hair. But if you even, so if you're wearing a hat and versus not wearing a hat and you walk somewhere and the plum falls on your head, which is gonna hurt more, the one without the hat, right? Because you have less cushioning, and basically that's what your hair is there to do. So it's there to do a job, which is one of the reasons why you can never really get rid of it. um, it's very essential. So that's just the hair, but the scalp itself is part of the skin. So and the skin is all one. So if even on your hand, if you have a problem there, the blood supply is all connected. And if you have a problem on your scalp, the blood supply is still connected. Your scalp is not separate from the rest of your body. So we have to think in terms of the whole body rather than, oh, it's just my head, I'll just leave it. Because actually, if you just leave it, you will end up with it all over.
All right, let me once again just to let you know, those of you that just come in, joining us, her name is Eugenia Shaw. She is the founder of Women's Beauty Hair Care, and also she's an author of the book called Hair is Hair. Okay, so if you want that book as well, we'll talk about it a little bit before she go. But let's continue with this hair, with the issue of the hair. Now, what about because I follow you people quite a lot. Anyway, I'm talking about women, you know. Let's talk about you guys, we all have
Yep.
natural hair. There's natural hair, and also there's this artificial hair that is overshadowing
Yeah.
everything now. Are there any instances that you, as a professional person, from your professional background, that you can tell me today that there is an advantage in wearing, you know, external hair, and a disadvantage as well? What are those there? If you can point us through, are there any risks as well? Because sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, I'm losing my hair because I'm using I don't know how they call it, attachment or
Yeah.
whatever it is." Take us through.
I mean, for anything, any hairstyle you have, there will be advantages and disadvantages. For extension, in the sense of weaves and braids, I think the biggest risk comes from application. So how the extension is applied. And the reason for that is the application will either lead to your own natural hair being maintained or being lost. And most people, when they say, oh, like you said, you know, people say, oh, I'm losing my hair because I'm putting the extension in, or because I'm doing the weave or the braids. And that hair loss is what is known in the industry as traction alopecia. So any form of hair loss on the scalp is known as alopecia. But alopecia can be caused by a lot of different things, and the specific one caused by extensions and weaves or any form of extension is called traction alopecia. And the reason it's called traction alopecia is because when you apply the hair, when you create any braid, so even if I just braided my own natural hair now in cornrows or single plaits, what I'm doing is that I'm applying a form of traction, which is a form of pulling to my own scalp. Now, when you do this with the extension or with the extensions, if you apply too much traction, so a little bit of traction is really good. So when I braid my hair after washing it, I do like to give it a little bit of traction. So just so that and a tiny bit of traction that doesn't hurt, but actually puts tension on your scalp a little bit, actually stimulates your hair follicles to grow quicker. So it stimulates the hair follicle to produce more hair cells quicker. However, when you put the extensions in and the traction is too much, yeah, what happens is your hair growth rate doesn't outweigh the traction. And what happens in the end is, as you are pulling and the follicle is like working twice over, because it's like, I need to relieve this tension that is literally pulling me out, but it can't do it. What it does, it lets go of the hair. So it loses the hair. And if you have too much traction that actually pulls the hair out rather than giving it space to grow, over time, that hair follicle will become dormant, because it will literally say, well, every time I grow a hair, it keeps being pulled out, so there's no point me growing any hair. And I say this like this because I also teach beauty therapy, and I talk to my students all the time. So I teach waxing. So I encourage people to grow the hair here, but then I remove it elsewhere. So and that's one of the things with waxing, which is why when you wax consistently, your hair follicles shut down. They shut down and they won't grow hair. So which is why, you know, as a therapist and as people coming to see me for waxing, they have the waxing done, and people who I know, not clients of mine but friends of mine who've been having waxing for years, they're like, oh yeah, I want to grow like 2 or 3 hairs on my legs now because I've been doing it for the last 20 years, or I've been doing it for the last 30 years. And over time, basically, you're applying the same principle to the hair on your head by creating too much traction. So every time you pull the hair too much, that hair will get ripped out. And once your scalp gets to that point where it decides, ugh, I'm not doing this anymore, then the hair doesn't grow. And so over time, the hair recedes, or you get less and less. And then you end up with no hairline or no hair in between, because sometimes it's not just the hairline that erodes. Sometimes in between as well has problems in between the hair. So invariably,
Hair loss in general.
Sorry?
Hair loss in general. Does it have any psychological effect on especially women?
Oh, I would say yes. I would say most definitely. I mean, hair loss, like I say, it can be caused by a lot of different things. Male pattern baldness is a completely different thing to traction alopecia, because that's genetic, and that's due to the growth of extra bone on the guy's head. So that's something, you know, that's completely different. But for women, I think you know, our hair is kind of our crown and glory, however way you want to wear it. And I definitely champion in being individual and wearing your hair as you feel most comfortable as a woman, and what makes you feel the most beautiful. And yeah, definitely wear your hair. And that's one of the reasons I have my Instagram catchphrase is #YourBestBeautiful, because what's beautiful for you may not be suitable for someone else, and that's all fair and good, because we're all individuals, and we have to embrace our individuality. But I think having hair loss, anything that's damaging to the hair, is definitely damaging to the self-esteem. And funnily enough, I mean, when my daughter, she was only 5 and I was a mom, and she was the one who was losing her hair, and I had self-esteem issues, because seeing my child, and at that age, to be honest, she didn't know any better. You know, it didn't, I wouldn't say it bothered her as much as it bothered me, because at 5 years old, they're just playing around. They're like, yeah, my hair's coming out. Oh, should it be coming out? Okay, mommy, what do you think? And that's it. But I think for me as a parent, yeah, I definitely had self-esteem issues there, because I felt terrible for her, and terrible as her mom. Why, I don't know. But you do, because your hair is associated with so many things, and being a Black woman, our hair is controversial in itself. And so when you've got added issues of of hair loss or hair problems or scalp problems, it does knock your self-esteem a little. And I think for me, it's one of the joys I get in dealing with my clients, and when they get to that place and they send me selfies and go, look, I've got my hair out, or I've done this with my hair and I feel so good. And for me, yeah, that's kind of like really, really important. That's the most thing for me. It's having them get to that place where they're like,
All right.
Eugenia, thank you so much. I really love my hair. Whether they have it in weave, or whether they have it in braids, or whether they have their own natural hair out, when they get to that stage and they say, you told me this 6 months ago or a year ago, and now it's come true. I love it. I'm like, great. So yeah, definitely affects them.
All right. Once again, her name is Eugenia Shaw, hair specialist. We're going to take a short musical break. We'll come back. We'll talk more and talk about her book as well. Let's invite this one, yeah. And the crew. Lose control. Afro Low. She threw pepper in my eye. I made my baby cry, cry, cry. She said she wish I could die, cause she could never leave my side. She say I know, say she not be savvy to my love. The way she holds me down like a blessing from above. Afro magic, thunder fire, Afro loving, sour, sour, Afro magic. All right, that's a great one there from our own man, Nkuru. Let's take a break there and go back to the discussion. Now, let me ask this, because sometimes I can hear people say, oh, I use a cream on my body and it gave me a reaction, or changing, it gave me some marks on my body as well. As far as the issue of hair is concerned as well, do we have, does we experience something like that as well when we put certain food there that perhaps it will give reaction that it doesn't like that food? And what are some of the reactions that can happen?
Most definitely. I mean, your hair, like I said before, the scalp is still the skin. It still functions like the skin. So if there's a reaction that's going to happen on the skin, so your scalp will definitely react to things that it doesn't like. And the hair product market is definitely populated with a lot of stuff. And as we're all individuals, there are certain things that we'll react to. So some people are allergic to tomatoes, some people are allergic to peanuts, some people are allergic to shrimp. And sometimes in different products, there's extracts of lots of different things. So if you put it on your scalp, you are going to have a reaction. And one of the biggest reactions there is, you kind of, most people say they feel like a burning or heat. You kind of have like excessive dandruff, so the hair kind of like. And I think for me, one of my worst scalp reactions is I can't use palm kernel oil. So the palm kernel oil, my scalp does not like it. And I remember when we were on Budaburam, the Liberian refugee camp in Ghana, one time my mom had sourced, but over the years, I can use it on my skin. How weird is that? I can actually oil my skin with palm kernel oil, but it can't go on my scalp. My scalp is like, I don't like it. And my mom had sourced some, and we were all using it in the house. And she was like, oh, well, the grease finished, so you all use that on the hair. And I did. And I remember for about a couple of days after, it felt like I had a hat with pins sticking in my scalp the whole time. for about 2 days. It just felt like people
Wow.
were just poking pins in my scalp the whole time. And it wasn't exactly itchy, but it just felt prickly. It just felt, and after 2 days, my skin on my scalp literally peeled off. Like I did that, and the dandruff flakes were like huge. They just came off. And when I looked, because I was very curious, anything to do with hair, I was like, so this might sound a bit gross to other people, but I literally pulled it off and looked at it under the light because I was like, this is not normal. This should not be happening to my scalp. So pulled it off, looked under the light, and there were little black spots in them. There were little red dots in the skin. So obviously my skin had reacted so badly that it actually bled in between all of that. And sometimes, some people have the same reaction, or scalp swells up. And so all of that is a form of inflammation. So any reaction you have on your skin, basically what's happening is the product has gone into your skin and into your blood, and your blood has recognized it as a foreign thing that it doesn't like. And the way your blood gets rid of foreign things in your body is by creating an inflammation in the area, because without inflammation, you don't have white blood cells in the area. I mean, the white blood cells are floating around your body all the time anyway, so it's not like you don't have it. But when your body needs them to activate, so it's what your white blood cells are like soldiers that are just standing there, yeah, waiting to be called to work. So you have them anyway, and they're waiting. So for your body to get them to go to work, it has to create an inflammation in the area. So the minute inflammation hits, the soldiers are like, hey, we got work to do, let's go. So that's what happens. And so when you have a reaction on your scalp, your body creates an inflammation to try and get rid of those bad things. So then the white blood cells go there, but that inflammation, it's swelling, it's more fluid in the area, it's painful, because pain basically sinks, and there's no way your body can tell without pain. So if something is wrong, it will create pain to tell you that there is something wrong, because so when you then get the inflammation, the white blood cells go to the area to help get rid of that foreign body that it doesn't recognize. And so in the whole process, sometimes the foreign bodies can be got rid of, and that's like a whole different science aspect to it. But sometimes it takes a long time for them to actually get rid of that thing from your body, so you have the problem that's prolonged.
Let me read something here before, but before I forget. Normally I hear people talking about dandruff, and then where does it come from? Is it due to you keeping your hair dirty, or is it maybe people using too much oil or too much hair food or so? Where does dandruff come from? How does it develop?
Dandruff is basically the name given to your dead skin cells on your scalp. However, your whole skin all over your body sheds its dead skin cells. So we shed dead skin cells, millions of dead skin cells every single day, because our skin, from the moment we are born, it grows in a cycle, around a 28-day cycle between the ages of 10 to about 50, slows down when you really slows down by the time you hit 50, and then but from about baby to about 10, it's kind of less than 28 days. The younger you are, the quicker your skin cell over. Now cells shed on the rest of our body, because we don't have the thickness of the hair that traps the dead skin cells. They fall off when we take our clothes off, when we lie in bed, when we lie down, they come off. However, on our scalp, it doesn't necessarily come off until wash day, because the thickness of our hair means some of that dead skin can get trapped in between. Now, when you have, so we should all have a minuscule, so like a small amount of dead skin cells that should be on our scalp, because that's normal. That says your scalp is actually functioning properly. Because if you don't have any, then you got a big problem, because it means your cells aren't growing. So we definitely want the cells to be growing, and we want that dead skin. However, when it becomes excessive, then it can be due to different things. And one of the biggest causes is inflammation. And again, inflammation can manifest itself in a lot of different things. Here, which is here you can have like psoriasis or eczema of the scalp, and people don't really those are not words that's used kind of like in Africa a lot, even though people still suffer from those conditions, so they don't really necessarily know that that's what they have. But any inflammation will cause your scalp to shed skin quicker, and the reason being that when you injure the scalp, so say for instance, and I'm sure a lot of women will relate to this, when you perm your hair for that first time and you kind of burn your edges, right? I know I did. You know, I definitely experienced that. You perm your hair and then your edges are all burned, but even in between your scalp, because you know, before you go and perm your hair, they tell you don't scratch your hair, so you're not allowed to scratch your hair for at least 1 week or put any comb or anything in it, because you'll be scarring your scalp, and then when you go and have the perm's just gonna go in there and burn it up. So all of that burning is causing inflammation on your scalp. And for most women who perm their hair, and I know I definitely went through this, is you perm the hair, yes, you have little burn bits all around your scalp, and that's fine. But about a week after, you have a week to 2 weeks after, you have a lot of dandruff, because of that inflammation that's been caused by the perm. Now, the perm, if we put it in kind of like not looking at it as your scalp, and the perm is basically causing a trauma to your scalp. Yeah, so it's causing injury, simply put. Now your body needs to repair. So anything that's gonna injure your body needs to repair. And in repairing the body, what happens is your skin will produce more cells quicker. So in that production is where you then end up with excess dead skin cells, because your body is trying to repair and get rid of all that damaged skin cells that's on top. So then you end up with more dandruff. So we should all have a little bit of dandruff, but we shouldn't have dandruff to the point where you can see flakes, or either in your scalp or on your clothes, because then somewhere there's something that's injuring the skin, and the skin is trying to repair itself, so it's shedding too much dead skin.
All right. At time, we really wanted to go deep, but time is of essence. But you know, I wanted to. I don't know if maybe if you can spend a few minutes just before we come to the book. For you to talk a little bit about, you know, hair lace, because when I was growing up back home in Liberia, when we used to go to school, and maybe our hair itching like that too much or so, when people look inside, they see these small things moving inside. The
lice, yeah.
Yeah, hair lace. And yeah. And then people used to say, oh, they used to be laughing at each other, or children would laugh at each other also, or somebody would say, okay, they have to go and clean your whole hair also. And then women as well will suffer from the same thing. Yeah. But then what I used to hear is that it's due to you keeping your hair or your head dirty. And then, but then when I came here, I can see our children as well suffering from the same thing, and these children are, you know, I mean, their mothers are, you know, bathing them twice a day or so. How does it develop? Where does it come from?
So
if we can just do that maybe in a few seconds, because of time.
No worries.
I know if we have more
you'll have to cut me, because I'm sure, as you've noticed, once I start talking about hair, it's like there's no stopping me. So basically, the lice is a foreign body that lives outside of you. It's definitely not due to dirty hair. What the lice feed on is your dead skin cells, basically. As gross as it sounds, that's exactly what it feeds on. It feeds on your dead skin cells and your blood. So it sucks your blood. And in that sucking of the blood, it creates trauma. Your body then wants to heal, so it produces more dead skin cells and feed the lice even more. So you kind of get in this vicious cycle. But it basically is one of those things that it lives outside, and it could be anyway, it's normally on people, and sometimes the eggs can go into hibernation for a very long time. All it takes is you to kind of share comb, yes, which is how I got it as a kid in boarding school in Ghana.
Yeah.
I definitely had lice. And I
Yeah.
did the whole shave off thing. I shaved my hair off. It was like this much. Um, and but yeah, sharing combs, or even just lying your head next to someone who has lice, you will get it. Um, Being in the same house, because what happens is when it's excess in someone's head, the eggs do drop around you in the furniture. And when you're at home, like I'm, on my sofa, when you lay back, you kind of lay back with your hair, your head on the sofa, the egg go in there, or the lice themselves will get in there, and the next person who comes and puts their head on that, they're gonna pick that up. So even when you go places like in restaurants
Wow.
and things like that, so you can pick it up from anywhere. It doesn't live on the human body, but it lives outside, and it's a very prolific and very intelligent pest, parasite that will survive the harshest of conditions to wait for the next warm body. So, which is why it's such a big problem, because it can survive, out, hibernate without having food for a very long time, until basically the food source, i.e., us, comes along, and then it hops on. So it's one of those things that, yeah.
Okay. Um, all right. It's just about maybe the next 3 minutes. She have to go because she have to go and work. But let's talk about your book a little
Yeah.
bit. Uh, this is the book now. How what is it that you have inside? I know maybe most of what you said is in there also,
True.
but how can you? What is it? Why should we buy this book also? And where can we get it?
Okay. Yeah. So the book Hair is Hair kind of came out of all my experience and research in trying to help cure my daughter's problem. Because by the time I'd done all of that, I realized that actually she wasn't the only person suffering with that problem. Loads of women were. And having kind of collated that information, I then realized that, and still doing clients and stuff, but I then realized that actually I can't be everywhere to give people the advice. So basically, the book is me away, and actually, I have my working copy here with me. This is one copy that I keep with me in my work room, and I refer to all the time when my clients come around, and I get them to take pictures so that they have the homework to do at home when they're not with me. So basically, I call it me, your hairdresser away from your hairdresser. So Hair is Hair is your hairdresser away from your hairdresser. Because one of the things I realized, and what actually spurred me on in writing the book, is when a client comes and sees you to have the hair done, they're with you for 2 hours, depending on what they came for. So can be an hour to about 6 hours, depending on what you're doing. But then they go away. So at most you got them for 6, 7, 8 hours at a hit. The next time you see them is 3 months on, or 4 months on, or 6 months on, or a month away. So you've had the hair for about 6 hours, they've had the hair for 4 weeks. And in that time, if they haven't done anything to the hair, you're then coming to start back from scratch. And actually, not only from scratch, because sometimes the hair might be more damaged. So you're starting from a negative rather than even from zero, and then trying to get the hair back. And I found as a hairdresser, this was this constant battle, this constant cycle where the client comes, the hair looks fabulous for the next couple of weeks. They don't really do much. They do what they can, and you haven't really told them what to do to keep the hair healthy. And then they come back to you and it's like, oh my God, the hair it's worse, or it's not getting any better. And so I think sometimes I think from a hairdresser's selfish point, I wanted my clients to go away and come back, and not start from negative or start from zero, kind of carry on where we left off, which is always a good thing. And that helps the hair. And what I found when I started to do that is, people were then able to actually see progression in the hair. Because more often than not, when you're in that cycle, you don't, this is searching on my clients, because I treat clients from all race, so I have white and black clients. And black and white people will say to me, well, when my hair gets to this length, it doesn't grow any longer. Well, technically that's not true, because your hair doesn't stop growing until the day you die. So your hair will keep growing. The problem why we don't see length is because we're not doing the things to maintain the actual hair strands so we can see them grow. So what happens is, as it grows, it keeps breaking off. So your hair gets to a certain length and you're like, my hair only gets to this length. Well, scientifically, no, it doesn't. That's not how your body works. But basically what you're doing to it, it's not making it go to where you need it to go. So Harris Hair can be found on Amazon. So if you click Amazon, you can search it with Harris Hair, or you can search my name, Eugenia Shaw, and it will come up. Yeah, so it's kind of like, yeah, I call it your hairdresser away from.
And what are other medium through which anybody can contact you?
My contacts, you can get me on Instagram, Omi's Beauty. I've got I started up and coming YouTube channel called Eugenia's Advice. So I will be going on there and creating videos with what to do with different things. So I am very open to people sending me questions, especially for the YouTube, what you would like to see. So I know one of the big things that I got asked a lot is edges, how to keep our edges from receding, and how to make sure that, the edges are growing as well. So I think that will be my next video on how you can optimize your edges and make sure that you have your full head. But yeah, YouTube, Facebook, I have a Healthy Hair Masterclass Facebook group, so you can go on there and join through that. And in that group as well, I post all the things around and again, I definitely welcome questions in there, because especially in a group, because sometimes people may feel like, oh, this is only unique to me, so this is only my problem. However, you post it in a group and you got 4 or 5 people going, oh my God, I suffer from that as well. So then, it kind of builds a good community, and people get answer to the question, even though they weren't thinking about the question, somebody else thought about it, which is good. So yeah, so the 3 places: Instagram, Omi's Beauty, Facebook.
When you.
Yeah.
Great. That's how you can reach her, Eugenia. Sure. Okay, finally, before you say goodbye to us, just within 30 seconds or so, I took this from your interview with Metro. You say clients often, you said that clients often turn up to hair appointments with totally unrealistic demands. What is it like in 30 seconds or so we can let you go?
Well, Um, Unrealistic is kind of something that's not set in stone. So it can be unrealistic depending on what the client is asking with, because it can be unrealistic with what you're presenting. So say for instance, if I came in with my hair as it is already, so it's pretty long and I'm going, yeah, I want it to be kind of like about another 6 inches long, that's not necessarily unrealistic. But if a client came into me and their, the hair edges were really off, the actual scalp was really unhealthy, and they said, in 3 months' time, I want my hair to be as long as yours, that's not realistic. That's not achievable. Because what people fail to remember, especially, is that hair is actually a memory. So whatever damage you do to your hair, however long you do it, if you do damage to your hair for 4 years at a time, it takes twice as long for it to get better. So it's gonna take 8 years. So people are like, I don't have 8 years. Well, that's what's gonna happen, because your hair, it's gonna take that long for the damage to actually grow out and for the damage to heal at the root.
Madam Shaw, thank you so much. I know time fast spent. We wanted to keep you here more, but
I
because
would have
of
loved to
engagements,
do
we're
this.
gonna let you go today. Hopefully, hopefully we'll have another
Yes,
opportunity with you here another
I would
time.
love that.
Just But finally, just before you go now, anything finally you want to say to us, all of us watching?
I'd just like to say thank you all for having me. At the moment, today is the last day of my Kickstarter campaign in launching my products. So if people still want to, if people want to go on there and support, I would be very grateful. Just, yeah, really great. I'm really excited about where things are at the moment. So yeah, let's to the future of good hair. Well, no, not good hair, because I just dispelled that in the book. There's no such thing as good hair. To the future for healthy hair, because everyone has good hair. We just have unhealthy or healthy hair.
Yeah. Okay. But any specific message for those in London, perhaps or those in the UK that are listening to you right now with respect to your coming event? Why is it going to be held?
I don't have, so the Kickstarter is actually online at the moment, and it finishes tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they can go to my Instagram.
Right.
There's the link in my bio on my Instagram page, so they can click that, and that will definitely. So it's Omi's Beauty at Instagram, and then in the bio, the link to the Kickstarter is there, and this is the pre-sale. So I will be launching my products closer to next year, by the end of this year. So 2020 is official launch, but you can get it now in the Kickstarter.
Wow.
So it's the pre-launch sales, and it finishes tomorrow morning. So you only got the next 12 hours, so to speak, to get on there and get your pre-launch sales. So thank you, Max, for having
Great.
me. It's been a
Eugenia,
pleasure.
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time as well. Have yourself a pleasant
Thank
day.
you. I will have a good day. You too. You have a wonderful day, and God bless you all.
Okay, good. All right, good day. Bye. All right. Miss Eugenia Shaw. So for those of you interested, you can track her down on Facebook easily, message or messenger, and you'll be able to, if you want the book, you can be able to order the book, especially as it is on Amazon. So meaning, wherever you are, you can be able to get a copy to also support her initiative. On this note, on the Max K Talk Show on today, Wednesday, 7 days of August 2019, I want to say thank you so much for being there. As usual, always, may God bless you, bless the continent of Africa, and above all else, may God bless Mama Liberia.